timing or how aggressive they'd choose to play. Parabellum being more of a utility-focused squad, especially when clearing out defensive setups, whereas One Shot do like to rely more on gunplay. There's parts about both teams that feels like it just is complementary to a good game because of how differently they play. And I do think the battlefields that we've selected in Kafe, Oregon, and Chalet is going to make this one really interesting as the day goes on.
Yeah, full top-down clear. It's kind of what you expect out of Parabellum. They like their full due diligence, and they have two good old-fashioned entries on the board with Penguin and Spirit. Penguin actually leading the charge as the IGL on the entry. Always quite fun. As Slippery's going to take a whole lot of damage. He's going to get down through the wall as Spirits probably will not confirm and know that he dropped him straight down. As well, Storms will fall all the way back to the bomb site. Slippery finished off by Spirits, and the attempted swing for the refrag was Swalen. However, it didn't really come out and only landed a bunch of bullets with the kind of pea shooter that the Roni can be. With the Finka still on the board, 2 Adrenal Surges remaining. Spirits can probably get almost back to maximum HP if he's going to be staying alive. However, it's Spirits. He likes to get aggressive, and if he survives a round, it's usually an absolute slaughter.
Pretty quick clear so far for Parabellum. They've got both of the top floors already relinquished. Slippery wasn't able to get away. And that is kind of a bad op to lose, mostly because the 1.5 in the weapon, once you've got the electric claws up, is incredibly stable. Can no longer be utilized for this round. And now as Parabellum make their rounds upstairs, just kind of allowing Sledge to go to work, Eska will open everything under the sun directly above One Shot and make sure that they don't have corners to hide in. So as soon as he rearranges it to his liking, Parabellum can decide where they want to push from, which at the minute seems like their take is more focused on ensuring they have vertical control before making a push over, but now Kool-Aid with Diffuser is coming back towards Bakery. So with this much time left, it shouldn't be them deviating from this course here.
Yeah, they know that Kilo plays in this position, and trying to take out the Echo means that you can get a plant with relative ease. There's no Nitro cells anymore on the side of One Shot, but there's also no Penguin, but the quick refrag from Kool-Aid will make sure that everything is all good. Now the final breach can be placed. Those X-Kairos pellets over towards the Bakery wall. That'll be the entranceway into the bomb site, but Quartz, he manages to take out Eska on the vert, but Spirits, he's going to come in, and the refrag from Swalen rains through. It's a 2v2, Jacob.
So far, Kool-Aid coming right back. He knows where the smoke is positioned, but the Mossberg is almost going to put him in the dirt, but he'll come right back around. Melted and Kool-Aid ensuring that round goes in their favor. That's a really nice cross, looking all the way into Wine. So, first round for PB. They got that first frag on Kaid and then stormed in quickly.
Yeah, the entry game was an issue for Parabellum in these last couple of matchups here, but they seem to maybe be back on their own, maybe be back to their own form. Don't want to say it too early, but
maybe, yeah,
when Spirits is running into the building, following drones and getting frags, that's when this team is working at its best.
I'm already liking just the fact that they didn't have to move through the top 2 floors without, I mean, there wasn't much to contest them upstairs, really. I think they had like what, maybe 3 reinforcements put up. They had the Kaid who was caught off rotation. It's not even that he was necessarily going to be playing inside Fireplace where he died. It just seemed like he was like caught out at just a bad moment. Spirits was already down wide stairs, ensuring that he could get this down.
He's fast.
That man is freaky. Like, it almost feels like some of like true entry players or players that you really only know for being hyper aggro or moving through maps quickly doesn't exist as much as it used to. I don't really know why I feel like that. Like, I want to put Boldo or Merc in that same category, but Spirits has just carved out a reputation for himself over the past year and a half as a beast.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you need to know about Spirits is that he's French-Canadian. And typically that clicks in people's head of, oh, so he's going to be shooting. That's what he goes for.
Man, you're just saying that because we spend a lot of time around French Canadians in Discord calls late at night.
I mean, hey, and they all have the same reputation.
You're not wrong.
Correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation, but
True.
that dot plot, you can definitely see the line start to develop.
little bit of insider
There's a little bit of a trend there. But with the new bomb site being reading for the side of One Shot, the initial top floor clear for Parabellum was quite fast. It came out at a good rate. And even that middle floor where the roam for One Shot was allocated also went down with relative ease. And on a bomb site like Reading, if you do not find success on the top floor, it is really hard to stop a plant. It is really hard to keep a man advantage at any point. And typically the attack can really get a lot of momentum and roll over you.
Pretty normal up here in top Cocktail. I want to ensure that they can clear Cocktail and the bar itself. Slippery is going to make his rotation back down. So about 50 seconds before he decides to cut his losses and move away, but he still has a couple of allies upstairs. He will instead move right back up. So 3 players on top floor right by Cocktail. It's the Smoke, the Aruni, and the Jaeger. So that's most of One Shot's contingent Parabellum will have to deal with before their side approach, which is, again, pretty normal at this stage in the game. But Penguin will make sure Slippery can't do anything, so that rotate is pretty ill-advised in hindsight.
He jumped out.
Penguin's going to make sure that he doesn't try another run out. Yeah, because he was migrating up to like white stairs and then back down again over the shield that Aruni had placed. So he thought, yeah, maybe it's a good option. But nope, Penguin shuts him down before he can do anything.
Yeah, now the shield play over towards pallets. It could be strong for Swaylin. Instead, with the burn of the flash grenades, he knows that this shield is probably not long for the world. Quartz inside of pillars is a precarious situation as Spirits narrowly...
Whoa!
Oh, he ends up hitting that shot. I thought he was about to narrowly miss, but instead Swaylin puts his head right into the line of fire. And now that's 2 kills for the price of none. Kilo, he'll answer back onto Kool-Aid, but the refrag from Eska stays strong. The man advantage once again, and it's always staying with Parabellum as it's Quartz in a miracle run.
Man, this man is stuck in pillars. He's going to use the nitro right there. It doesn't net anything. He genuinely is on an island by himself, and all of Parabellum about to swarm around him. Should go in PB's favor unless Quartz has a miracle play with this SMG-11 in his back pocket. Try some things out. I don't want to give him too much hope where there is none or none exists, but he'll still give it a good try. Might have the chance to deny if he can isolate a couple of 1v1s, so it's only winnable until PB begins to group up, but melted. His shots will not miss. Quartz goes down, and 2 in a row for PB so far.
Yeah, and the most interesting thing would be thinking about what sides we're on currently, because Parabellum did want to start off on the attack despite One Shot showing a real struggle for their own attacking side, giving them the defense a little bit interesting. But my current hypothesis is with the ban phase, if you start on attack, you can kind of control where the defensive bans can go.
Yeah.
And they did initially ban the Mira, wanting to leave the Valk up as potentially a trap card, but One Shot didn't want to go for it at all. And now, as we start off, Parabellum, they've hit the ground running. They're looking strong. They're looking clean. Not really anything wrong with their attack so far. Starting at the top floor, getting some good drone work, having your entries boots on the ground in there, taking map control aggressively. About as textbook Kafe as you can get.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It doesn't have too much of an implication for the rest of this game. I think probably after like the first 3 rounds, that's where you're going to get a real picture for what the other 3 rounds on attack look like. But through the first 2, if One Shot, they can stall out this momentum quickly by winning this round here if Parabellum's attacks aren't executed to the same degree. It might just be because on sites that aren't the top floor on Kafe, you have to allocate resources with utility or reinforcements or players 2 floors above the bomb site, and that attempt at time wasting for One Shot hasn't netted them any success so far. Because everything is on 1 floor for Bar Cocktail, maybe there's a chance that because everything defensively is a little bit more congested, Parabellum then has to make them pay for spacing issues, but that might not be a problem if One Shot just space themselves accordingly.
Yeah, a lot of the space allocated is going to be over towards that cigar, the humidor hold that we've seen One Shot bring out. And for TSM, that even caused them trouble. They struggled to break down all of the utility and Storms being aggressive, having the ability to just sprint through flashes and let that shotgun sing over towards Red Hatch. And as soon as Parabellum drone this out, it's going to be kind of a mass migration over towards the windows. They're going to have to burn a lot from those areas. We already saw 3 ADSs, a couple of discs thrown over towards the stage, understanding that as soon as that castle barricade gets broken from the south window, Storms can essentially be a dead man if the cuts are proper.
Castle barricade right there. I'm trying to figure out if Storms has the mute jammer right there with him, but oh, barricade's already gone. Storm's kind of caught in 2 different angles right here. He couldn't get knocked out from multiple spots. He's just going to tank the nade. There's nothing he can really do from the hatch. Trying to hold off from Humidor, like you mentioned. We did see them do that against TSM to some success yesterday, but it's not to be. Parabellum moving way faster as they understand exactly where Storms is positioned. And now, as soon as they've got that cleared, Castle Barricade is also gone, so there's already some things One Shot are going to want back on this defensive setup because top red, piano control, maybe all the way to Pixel is about to belong to PB PB in a couple seconds.
Yeah, that was like a game of chess right there. It seemed like Parabellum were just a couple of moves ahead, understanding exactly where Storms was going to rotate. The only safe positions he could be in when that castle barricade was open would be to drop the hatch, which is where Spirits was prone outside the window waiting for him to drop, or over close by that rack where we see all the debris from the grenade that Eska masterfully threw right at his feet. Now as the burn over towards Pixel is here, that means, hey, Slippery can no longer play in this position. Almost gets knocked out by a nade. Had he stayed for any longer, he would have met the same fate as Storms, and Parabellum would be rolling through the bomb site. Next kill for Parabellum, I think that might just be the catalyst. That might be the time of, hey, it's about to flood, and with Melted on these windows, he can do some very interesting stuff. A lot of damage over towards Quartz, as Swaelin's going to accidentally drop the hatch and regroup with his teammate of Slippery down below.
Yeah, two of them can rotate back up white whenever they feel like it, but that's about all that they can really do. There's only one player left on side as Spirits does take Quartz out of the equation, and he'll also take down Kilo, so it's just do top white. Can Spirits get any more? It does get shut down, but traded, and it turns into just Swaelin on no more HP than he can truly muster. He's got space to kill Melted with an impact nade. There's your Pokeball. Kool-Aid still can get the diffuser down. There's not really a case for Swaelin to clutch this unless there is. He's trying to mop up every kill, one after the next. He might be able to pull this off, but Penguin and Kool-Aid now do have superior positioning. Trying to figure out if the diffuser is in a spot that it can be watched from Skylight, because that's where Penguin is trying to go. Both members of PB are not even in the building anymore. They're on top of it, and they have to give Swaelin a little bit more space, and Penguin catches him in the corner. Good try from Swaelin, but PB's positioning, again, is simply superior.
That is why I'm a Swaelin fan, because he can hit crazy shots like that. And as soon as that kill onto Eska came, did you notice that there was a mass exodus of the building?
Yeah,
that was
left.
pure fear and panic coming out of the remaining members of Kool-Aid and Penguin. They were like, my teammates just got absolutely sat down, so I'm going to run away. I'm not going to give this, I'm not going to give poor Swaelin any chances. That two people on the Skylight barely any time, the bomb in full view of that little top window, was an unwinnable situation. And once again, as soon as Parabellum get anything going, that kill of Spears, the entry into the bomb site, all of a sudden, boom, they exploded. They pushed deep. They didn't plant default. That's a really exposed but safe plant spot if you have full map control, full site control.
True. We get the opposite of a perfect site rotation from one shot, as Parabellum have managed to successfully defeat the entire option, or the entire rotation so far through for one shot. They tried every site, it didn't work out. We haven't seen them play mining, but still, not too bad. I'm looking for how they also want to, like, I guess, on attack when you're, well, like after the first 3 rounds, you have an advantage because you then understand exactly what teams were doing on those defensive setups, and you can relay that information back to whoever's droning and whoever's on entry and say, hey, we need to check these couple of things off first before we try and execute. But on defense, it doesn't quite work that way, because one shot's like, well, nothing we did worked, so now what are we supposed to do? How else can we fix things here?
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That doesn't apply, because it was broken in the beginning, and something needs to happen, whether it's duct tape or WD-40. Change needs to occur indeed. And now the Vigil being brought out by Swaelin, that potentially could allow him to get aggressive on the top side. Last time we saw this basement roam, it was all the way mainly in the first floor, not anywhere else. A little bit in the second, and nothing really up top. Now Swaelin, he's making that change. You can't just hold cutoff drones and know that, hey, all the third floor is clear. We're going to allow Spirits to get all the way to mid-white within 15 seconds and knock Slippery down.
Bomb located by attackers.
Holding down Brown, they're still pretty confident in where they want these rotates to happen, but they do now have Bakery control, because Spirits is just in there for free. Kilo's not playing back behind Bakery wall. He's put himself elsewhere on the map, and at least for right now, it's just kind of a feeling out process. Parabellum and are looking for utility and bodies. It looks as though one shot is kind of rotating some of it back towards site a little bit, so if they want to keep it congested. But Slippery, finally there's an entry kill that doesn't go Parabellum's way. It's Slippery onto Eska, but Penguins decided to effect quick entry. Might have a couple of kills, but he misses the shot on Kilo. That's a 1 in a million he's going to want back. Now Kool-Aid has to worry about VIP pressure solo. It might have been slightly ill-advised from Penguin. I think I understood what he was going for, but it's not to be. Spirits can't really hold his cross. There's 3 blue silhouettes directly to his left. He'll rotate back to Bakery. Not really certain how Parabellum can overcome this one.
Yeah, this one's going to be rough. No sledge means no vert. No Finka means no speed boost. And I don't know if Spirits has a Claymore or breaching charges, but hopefully for his team's sake, it is those breaching charges. Yes, it is. So they can apply a little bit of Burt, but instead, it's just going to be a full direct take. They have Bakery control, and they can start working the bomb site, but the one person that's going to be incredibly impactful is Slippery, holding the cross inside of Kochek. Both players, Storms as well, they're known to be over towards the bar, as well as the Yokai drones inside of sight. They're going to know everybody as soon as they get inside the bomb site and try to go for an execute.
PB's not splintering themselves. They're all pretty close to one another. Refrags are definitely possible in the case of Melted, backed by Bakery, and Kool-Aid can come over to assist. The fact that Spirits is also up is nice, but you gotta hold one another's crosses. Spirits gets it down on Quartz. No smoke babes can be used, but he loses his life in the process. It's all on Melted and Kool-Aid, yet again on Kitchen to try to pull this back with only 20 seconds. Quartz can still relay information as a living drone in an effective 2v2. Storms very nearly gets killed off the crossfire. Kool-Aid tries to move in. He may have a chance to do so, but the SMG-11 is going to kill Melted instead. It's just Kool-Aid. He had so many good moments in that Mirage game from yesterday, but he's got too much to worry about now. Kilo very nearly, it takes 2 tries with a bearing 9 to kill him, but that's still one shot's first round.
Yeah, for Parabellum, it is perplexing to see Penguin go for that crazy play. But still part of you wants to say, oh, it almost worked. Think about how differently it would have been had he gotten that kill.
He goes
and all of a sudden,
gets 2
all of
frags
sight
and just,
control immediately. However, if you want to start getting a little bit nitpicky, you can say that Parabellum, their first time they attacked the bomb site, it was flawless. They tried to change something up, and this time it didn't really work out.
Yeah. They tried. I'm not opposed to aggressive plays like that. I think he did have enough proof or belief that the site was mostly clear and he could walk in, but it got shut down because he just couldn't kill Kilo. He was right there. I think the idea was correct. The execution was off by just a couple of pixels. Again, game like Siege being a game of inches is just more proof of that in plays like that.
Yeah, that was millimeters, centimeters, something. We want to go metric.
What's the smallest one you can get to? Like nanometers.
Nanometers?
Yeah.
We're going to be going in scientific notation to see exactly how far away where Penguin's crosshair was onto Kilo's head.
About to write a whole thesis on why they lost that round.
Exactly. I mean, we could. We very well could.
We could.
But at the end of the day, it comes down to...
The entire thesis is 2 words. Penguin missed.
Yep.
Done. I want my doctorate now.
I was about to say, now we get our doctorate degrees. That's how we go. But at the end of the day, as much as we want to kind of throw and rag on that Parabellum attack just because that one little thing didn't work, the rest of the way that One Shot played it was phenomenal, especially over towards the bar and coat check area, holding those crosses, making it so difficult to try to get inside the bomb site. And even if you did, you died.
Yep.
And that shield in the backside for Kilo was played for expertly. The intel from those Yokai drones allowed quick activation upon that intel. And overall, a really fluid defense on the downstairs as soon as the roamers came back home.
I had a bit of a moment because Storms is playing with a vector that makes it look like the dev skin, and I'm just like, I've seen that in ranked too many times by people who should not have that skin. It looked really similar to it. It's not the dev skin. I know it isn't, but I swear for a second it looked like it. Storms will hopefully be using that vector in this round to great effect. He's put both Goyo shields in similar spots to round number 2, so Pixel and Top White to give the defense a little bit more staying power up top. Also with the holes, pretty darn similar setup overall from One Shot. Parabellum worked through this really quickly, but it was off the back of 2 kills from Spirits to start that round.
Yeah, and Spirits has been doing quite well for himself, 7-3 right now, as the Kairos pellets were used to burn out in a Rooney Gate. Could have used the drone, but instead, Parabellum, they're kind of hoping that these drones get a whole lot of intel. The hatch is going to get dropped out, and a Nitro Cell rains up above, as now bullets are going to riddle Storms' body. Spirits, he's in there, but it's actually going to be melted on the windows, holding cuts, not necessarily taking engagements with aggression as the flank watch, instead allowing Parabellum spearheads, the Spirits and Penguins, to push back those kind of advanced players on the side of One Shot right into Melted's loving arms.
Oh, Swaylon's trying to figure out if he wants to hold Top White or the window. He takes the window and wins. That was the right call. Spirits doesn't have a cross because he doesn't see the Aruni Makers cut over, but instead will now take bathroom control as it means that the smoke gives him a little bit more cover, and Penguin's there with a nade to ensure Kilo can't do anything with smoke in this round again. He might have had one more toxic canister still left, so it's a bad thing to lose. Quartz down below gets Eska, so we're still in a bit of a trade game, even if it's only with util. Swalen's moved downstairs off the white rotate. Quartz is also back on site. So again, top floor control now belongs to PB, but how much of it they have the next couple of seconds matters a lot. Storms and Quartz are both out of nitros, so now it means PB can just begin to work their way down without having any fear. The floor is lava! Little bit of a weird cross, and that means Spirits cleans Quartz up. It's just Storms and Swalen with only a couple seconds, but again, a trade. Swalen is doing what he can to keep one shot in this round right now. One back behind Pillar. A little bit more of a weird gunfight, but Kool-Aid is going to keep things live for the next couple of seconds. He has to now clutch this one up. It's a 1v1 with only 20 seconds to go. The two of them now at odds, completely different sides of the map. Kool-Aid might get this plan off for free unless the Aruni comes in quickly. He'll have to whip his gun back up right by the doorway. They both know where the other player is. He's going to win the fight. It's Swalen. Kool-Aid almost plays that bad boy perfectly, but it's just who clicks the head first. It's Swalen. One shot, get their second round.
Yeah, Swalen went on a world tour. He was up towards white, got the spray over towards melted on the generator, holding the flanks. Beautiful stuff. Then he dropped down white all the way around, went through the basement, came up red, found his way in mining, shot Penguin in the back.
Yep.
And then, even though he was too far away from Kool-Aid to hear the briefcase opening, whatever kind of game sense he had, understood that, hey, I don't think that Kool-Aid could have gotten in the position to plant over by default. He's going to be stuck in that rotate hole over towards Laundry, and the pre-fire came out. When you got a high fire rate weapon like the Roni, you're always going to come out on top, and maybe for one shot, that round right there, a big play in a 1v1, tensions were high, and they came out on top. This could be a momentum burst into their favor.
A little bit. I still think One Shot desperately need at least this round, just remembering how their Kafe attacks went against TSM yesterday. They were rather abysmal because they only won one, if memory serves, and what we need from One Shot is as much of a buffer as possible heading into their next round. They need to not be down because, again, Kafe, defensive sided, you get a 4-2 half on defense. That's good. 4-2 round on attack, and you're the defensive team, means there's considerably more ground that you have to make up. You got to climb a staircase, and the steps just keep getting bigger and bigger at that point. So they need this one. It also would be the real nail in the coffin for Parabellum's 3-0 streak of momentum. It's not quite the same anymore because now PB, even though their operator lineup is still working wonders, a clutch like that, as close as it was, now means everything seems to be evening out mentally here.
Yeah, and what's weird is that One Shot, it's almost like they took a page out of TSM's attacks, that as soon as they saw the attacks of Parabellum, they were able to make the adjustments and then slap them out of any contention that they've had.
Yeah.
Storm's being aggressive over with this spawn peek towards the police car.
Ooh,
It seems like everybody
ooh.
knows, but it's going to be a trade. Poor Eska just keeps on dying first, caught in the crossfire, and that's your sledge down. A sledge for a mute, you've got to say, as a defensive side, that's a trade you're never going to pass up. Those nades and the sledgehammer with all the soft areas, especially the hatches, that now Kool-Aid has less burn or less breach potential with his hard breach utility.
Yep.
Is massive.
Storms had the Warden play back in Humidor from round number 3 and decided, you know what, if that's not going to work, if they keep using nades that effectively, I'll just try spawn peek and just see if that works. You'd much rather, at the very least, take down one player with you when you're playing a more aggressive spot than you would to simply die and there not be a chance for recourse. So, good shot on, or good of One Shot to pull that back. Kool-Aid here, he's going to work right into the cigar lounge, make sure everything is burned. He really is using the double X Tyros pellet option to just clear util and Aruni gates wherever he can. Swalen is going to hold firm on Pixel. He's done this thing all weekend. Even if the shield isn't there for very long, that man will prone in that corner if he's got ADS or magnet coverage, and it will be a lot of utility required to get him out of that spot. But PB seemed like that hasn't been a problem for them so far in this map, aside from when he clicks heads.
Yeah, Spirits, unfortunately, trying to peek over towards New Balk, or Heaven, just kind of forgot about Pixel. And that was a tight angle indeed as Penguin. He's going to narrowly find the feet of Swalen, but he's just tucked in this corner until he finishes him off. Kool-Aid, in the meantime, he fell. That's another player inside of Piano that all died. I guess we can definitively say that Swalen and Pixel, that hold was a success.
He did that against TSM, like, even when TSM, I don't think, droned him after they, like, cleared shields or spent, like, 6 nades attempting to clear shields. But when they did, he's still stuck in that spot. He didn't move. He was a rock. And now, in spite of him being dead, picked up 2 frags and puts Parabellum into a 2v3 scenario. Penguin and Melted can try, at least in this round, to give themselves a leg up, but they'll need to find someone on One Shot that isn't in a very safe spot, all of which are in very safe spots. There's another Toxic Babe. from Smoke. He's got only one left remaining, but it's Cocktail, Freezer, and Top White. No one from One Shot's about to move. Parabellum are just going to try to see if they can't wing a nade through. Kilo moves back through the rotate expertly. He's got the timing down. Penguin, he's right there, pops his head up. Penguin's going to take his head off. So one back through Freezer and White. A little bit more of a chance for Parabellum, but it has to come down to expert timing and knowing the right moment to swing. Penguin is going to get the diffuser down. Mossberg will remove him from the equation. Not 2 in a row, though. Melted, he's only got 5 seconds. He'll try to, at the very least, get a plant off, or will he? He knows if he tries, he'll just get shot before it can get completed, and that's 3 in a row for One Shot.
Yeah, really well played by Quartz on that hit and run. He just walked in, shotgun, and he's cocking it back as he runs back into Freezer for the side of One Shot. That pixel hold, absolutely massive. Swaylin won that round through and through, and that makes 2 in a row for that man, bringing rounds to the side of One Shot's defense. But now, they're on the attacking side. Parabellum found early success with their aggression, but as soon as One Shot, maybe they woke up just a little bit late. You know, now the comms are flowing, the vibes are high. They're starting to feel like they're really in this game. And for their sake, I sure hope so, because with what we've seen of their Kafe, their attacks have really been subpar.
Just the fact that we're switching over to this half, knowing how One Shot played this yesterday, could be all that Parabellum really needs, and to just get 4 straight here. Like, I'm a little worried about that simply based on how yesterday went for their sake. PB understand the battleground that they're in. However, One Shot did have to go to attack second. This is the option, I think, for Kafe in particular. There are some teams who do happen to prefer Kafe attacks overall, but it does require a lot of masterful ingenuity and understanding of positioning and timing. Parabellum is all locked in together, and now they're going back to like the crutch side, so to speak. But they've already got 3 rounds. I think for their benefit, they're now in the driver's seat, but only from a round count point of view, because One Shot have had 2 very good rounds back to back, and I'm just kind of hoping for their sake that trend can continue here.
Yeah, and with how Parabellum are setting up the top floor, it is a little bit interesting. No castle being brought, instead just a Rooney gate, so you can see through them if somebody's going to be holding over towards the good old cigar. But instead, it's a lot of utility allocated down below. And if there's any nitro play, it could be massive in stopping a plant if One Shot go for a pretty default one. But instead, I feel like this round is going to be won in probably about the first minute and 30 seconds. Whether or not One Shot are really able to get any sort of roots over towards the round is going to be what dictates if they can get an attack going at all.
Yeah, it's not the old days where you'd have to spend so much time clearing util, but for One Shot, that is still a bit of an issue, I think, by comparison to other teams at the level that they play at. So I'm curious about how long it requires to force PB into awkward spots, maybe through some of the head holes or rotates that they themselves have concocted. But again, defensive utility, we haven't seen a Maestro brought out in the games that you and I have done this weekend at the very least. This is the first time that we were seeing it here. Could have been an Echo in Kool-Aid's case, but he'll opt for the Maestro instead. And it seems like, at the very least, Pixel Shield needs to get cleared first as far as One Shot's concerned.
Yeah, they were attempting to just go for the nice and easy clear with the Twitch drone. Because it is a Goyo shield, those Vulcan shields can erupt. But Swaylin, both of his zaps are gone. No longer will they be able to just zap the back, that giant red target that says, hit me here and I'll explode. Instead, they're going to have to burn it and use a whole lot of utility. Right now, this clear has been insanely slow for One Shot. After all this time, all this utility used, they really don't have much to show for it. The only person with boots on the ground inside the map is that top red hatch drop, which can be achieved in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, One Shot are looking about as slow as Peyton Manning in the pocket. We need to see a little bit more of a speed increase here because PB are just entrenching themselves. They will remain in this spot for as long as it takes, and One Shot need to be the aggressors at this stage in the game. No one's about to peek you from Skylight, Kilo. You might have to create your own opportunities, and that's what the smoke is going to attempt to do. It'll smoke off the cocktail doorway, so there might be a chance here, at the very least, to try for a plant, but melt it down below with a nitro cell could be the catalyst if that's what they attempt. They've got defensive intel to let them know if that is in fact the play, but he's going to hold up, make sure no one's in heaven, and then stay down there in the event someone tries to plant. He definitely could win the round right here if One Shot don't have this scouted, and it doesn't look as though they do. Quartz might be able to at the very least see him from bottom hell door, but again, that is where this is going to take place. One Shot, balls in your court, only 20 seconds, Skylight drop, Melted will find the first kill. Parabellum are racking up the scoreboard right now. There's the nitro, it doesn't connect, but it doesn't have to because Parabellum have every kill they need without dropping a body.
Yeah, the biggest thing was that those Maestro cams, they were the real win condition for Parabellum's defense. All of that utility over towards Pixel, they didn't care if it got destroyed. What it was designed to do was sponge up every explosive of the ranged variety that One Shot had, and then there is nowhere in the bomb site, either one of them, that those Maestro cams could not see, even if you had a smoke. And down below is melted with a nitro. He was just waiting for the case to get open, then all of a sudden throw that giant brick of C4 to the ceiling and blow that planter sky high. No win condition of the plant variety for One Shot, and they really could not solve that puzzle. They didn't know, and they didn't expect Parabellum to be so patient. This was one of the times the most patient I've ever seen Parabellum. They weren't peeking anything. They were just waiting, and One Shot stalled themselves out. They became their own worst enemy.
Yeah, we've given them credit for seeming like a Brazilian team sometimes where their life isn't something they value very highly. If they decide they want to roam super far away from the bomb site and just try to find a frag, they'll go for a kill as opposed to simply waiting in, like lying in wait and hoping One Shot just makes a mistake in some way. So I like how most of Parabellum is usually pretty dead set on doing that, but in that case, they knew they couldn't really rotate that many ways off of Cocktail because you can't really go upstairs to help stall. You're either going downstairs or you're staying on site, and Melted had the right idea. Come back downstairs, have a nitro so late, no one from One Shot had even droned close to pillar or held door at all, so it meant it was the perfect spot to be in.
Yeah, and there was also a whole lot of like holes over the top in different areas that they had for smoke lineups or nitro tosses or whatever. That entire strat was just like, hey, you know what? We're not going to let a plant down at all.
Yeah.
There's no plant going down. That is our prerogative. Nothing will occur. And now with One Shot going for their direct takes once again, they're going to be met with a good old-fashioned Spirits on Wamai hold. There's so much utility, so many Wamai discs, ADSs, a rotate hole, aggressing over towards this area, meaning that One Shot, their first step, will be a difficult one indeed. Quite a leap.
Through the rotate, Spirits does have coverage back again from Jaeger in the corner, but he might not need it. He'll keep on popping heads, see if anyone wants to come back around for a challenge. Doesn't seem like it. He'll just retain his spot, but Flashes now will force his rotate. Maybe able to get another couple of kills here. At the very least, Kilo swings back around. He'll get swung yet again, but a 2v4 as One Shot only have Storms and Swaywin. All the action happening inside Prep and Bakery, and now you've got your forces and your utils spread incredibly thin.
Yeah, incredibly thin indeed, and the man advantage very strong into the favor of Parabellum. They understood that, hey, One Shot, guess what they like to do? Bakery direct. Guess what they don't do? Anything in small bake, which allows Spirits to get aggressive, and he's not missing shots right now. He's absolutely clinical, only popping domes, and those are one-shot headshots indeed. For Swaylin and Storms, they have their work cut out for them. They can draw out the sight and understand that, hey, there's not a whole lot that we can do. There are some deep, wide angles held and a whole lot of map control still on the side of Parabellum. They don't have any control up top. They can't apply vertical pressure. They can't vacate these power positions. And even the smoke of Melted is roaming right now. He's rotating all over the place and making sure that the main area inside of VIP can't just be run in and allows Penguin to hold that deep cross, even if it's smoked for the time being.
You have more security because of the time at your disposal, so it might just turn into a case where, yeah, I'm roaming, but it's with the SMG-11. It's not that I am the smoke player in this case. He does have two Toxic Babes that he can still use, but look at how much of the wall has been opened. There's no additional coverage if One Shot just wants to walk in. They can't hide behind the wall because someone's playing like back behind bar double and can hold the long angle. Swaywin's in sight, but he's got to prone constantly. Swaywin and Storms, both with 2 frags. This one might be starting to fall apart for PB, but Swaywin now can't really get the coverage for his teammate. Diffuser's been down. He might just try to attempt frags. He can do his best. Only another couple of seconds. Maybe he's got spot for a plant if his position's not been given away. He's got to assume that there's one in Kochek. He does hear Diffuser. Penguin can swing whenever he feels like it. He'll take a second, come right off the plant. He does still have backup, but again, Swaywin's timing, he gave it his all, but he couldn't do it in the end. That's a 5th round for Parabellum.
Yeah, and that was another mature play from Penguin to just sprint up and, hey guys, I'm peeking, but nope, backs right off. And that beautiful little mind games got the plant to go away. And by time, that was the beautiful round from Parabellum. Started off strong with Spirit's extension inside of Bakery. For the side of One Shot, they found a lot more success, and they were much closer when they went for the full top-down clears against TSM, but we haven't seen that come out yet. And right now, Parabellum, they're getting more and more momentum. Those first two primary and secondary bomb sites, they've gone into their back pocket. They're feeling comfortable about them. They've had pretty dominant success. Even though that round got away from them a little bit, all those frags became impactless in the end, and Parabellum, now we're going to their third bomb site, Reading Room. And the biggest thing about Reading Room is the top floor pressure, which was already so incredibly dominant just a couple rounds ago.
This is what I was concerned about for one shot. Despite winning 3 rounds on defense, it was only 3 rounds on defense, and it's Kafe, and it's a map that you like a lot. What we've seen in this tournament so far is one shot that, despite liking Kafe, has only managed to show prowess on one side of the ball, not both. You would want to pick a map that you were strong in as many aspects as possible, right? Or at the very least, you would think Parabellum is a good team with scouting out other squads, especially ones that they've played super consistently in pro play. But for one shot, this might not have been the map to go to in the first place. I'm not even just saying that because, oh hey, Parabellum won their opponent's map pick. I'm more saying this because I just haven't seen enough from this weekend to justify going back to it against an opponent like PB that seems like they know what they're doing despite having a losing record on it recently.
Yeah, maybe the new Kafe strats have been cooked up for Parabellum, and it looks like they're coming out quite strong. Spirits, not on a traditional operator, but one that we associate with aggression, high-octane action. The Ella, the Speed Demon, with not the shotgun. He's got the Evo. I've seen him be an absolute freak with that weapon.
Yeah.
Even though it's a little bit hard to control the high fire rate, it does a lot. But how much can he really do with only 10 HP, aggressively peeking on his pixel shield? Typically, you would expect that to be a fall-off position quickly. But instead, Spirits seems to want to die on that hill, and he probably will eventually if he keeps on peeking like he just did.
Still 2 players to clear out a cocktail here, one with shield capacity, or at the very least, it's just the one, and yep, already decided to drop back through the hatch is the Goyo. He doesn't want to hold on to that position for any longer than he needs to, and instead it's only the Jaeger to deal with now, top white. So again, top floor down for one shot has not been their strong suit, but they are moving a little bit more rapidly here. Piano control been established up top now that the pixel shield has been cleared, but instead you're going to find one just sitting right at the top. It's still Spirits. He's got shield control even if it's not pixel, and as soon as the Finka peeks back around, he just might get cleared here. A couple of nitro cells in the back pocket for PB whenever they do go for this execute, so in the event that they can get one kill, just one, and stop the one-shot advance, then they've got several attempts to then create a situation where there's no safe haven on any of those soft floors for one shot.
Yeah, and now with the second Twitch drone down, it's going to be more difficult to get rid of this utility. A lot of burn and a lot of nades coming through as that one's going to claim the life of Spirits. Slippery finally getting involved early as Penguin's also going to fall at the hands of Swaylin. But for the sake of Parabellum's defense, those two operators, they didn't have C4s. Who cares about them? Down below is Eska, Kool-Aid, and Melted, as now 2 pre-placed C4s are down onto their side, waiting for an unfortunate one-shot victim to walk right on over them. The Sledge, he's going to drop that first hammer and is right next to that Nitro. Storms gets DB and O'd by it instead. He can get rezzed by the Adrenal Surge. And now, only Melted has a Nitro. The man advantage is in the side of one shot with vertical pressure. This round is almost certainly into one shot's favor. It's like a 99%. It's going to require some sort of heroics from a player like Kool-Aid inside a pillar to get this to go PB's way.
Still definitely a chance. Don't want to count them out, but with only 30 seconds to go, one shot's approach is a little bit slower than you'd like. Melted about to try to retake top white by himself, but his teammate's been killed. But Kilo has been down. Diffuser needs to get reclaimed. Quartz will do that job, and Kilo will now instead be tasked with just covering while Quartz attempts to plant. You might want him in a different position, but Eska trying to play hero down below. It can't work out. It tries. Kilo also staves it off. He goes from trying to plant to flank watch and cuts down the pulse and pillar. That's a nice rebound from one shot.
Yeah, really well done by one shot. With that initial top clear, those first 2 frags and surviving the barrage of nitro cells meant that pretty much the entire hand of Parabellum was played. And it was not enough to beat the pocket aces, those first 2 kills that one shot had off of the quick draw, and allowed them to just proceed as usual. For Parabellum, they had to make a play. They had to do something. They had to get aggressive, understanding that if they did nothing, one shot surely wins that round. And even if your play kind of falls flat on its face, not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because you can go back up to your strongest bomb site, a bomb site that was apparently such a labyrinth and maze for one shot that they had no idea that they were even playing the game.
But the problem is here, Parabellum still did win 2 sites, at least somewhat convincingly, both Cocktail and Kitchen. So even if they don't win a second floor site, or sorry, a first floor site, then they're probably still going to be fine. And this is the point that I brought up from earlier. One Shot's best attacks came when their opponents were not on third floor and were not in Kitchen. That's it. If you're going to Fireplace, regardless if it's reading or mining, One Shot have a much better advantage. They understand a single floor clear, working top down incredibly effectively. They don't waste time in that regard at all. But for these 2 sites, Parabellum and TSM from yesterday were in decided advantages. So if PB hold firm, all they need to do is win this site, go back down to Kitchen, win that one, and they take Kafe off the board, and One Shot don't have a leg to stand on map 2.
Yeah, and if they're not able to really identify what was going on down below, because it is a pretty intensive setup for the side of Parabellum, that One Shot kind of either didn't drone out or droned out and we're like, nope, that's too rich for my blood. We're going to try to avoid it. And now as Cortez on the Skylight, he's been struggling in this matchup so far, but you don't really need to aim that much with breaching rounds. You can still get rid of your utility and have that usage, but it's in the fragging department that he's truly been lacking. Both him and Slippery, the traditional entries for this team, they've been struggling to get things going. It's been Swalen on the flex that's really been trying to claw these rounds from the mid round over towards the back executing, swing it back into the favor of One Shot. For Parabellum, Spirit's inside of Pixel. He's just waiting patiently. The burn will come through. There is a drone directly on him, but he doesn't care about normal drones. He just wants to knock down the Twitch variety.
A little bit of this top floor. Rotations can be established now for One Shot, but they do still want to pay even closer attention to said angles on Repel, which they've used somewhat effectively, but Spirits pops up for a second, and that's just baiting Storms right into his crosshair. Good job. A little bit of a distraction back from Minibar means that Spirits is then out of position, just appears up with the head, and that does give One Shot a pretty good advantage in this round. Take out your top frag or your opponent's top frag. Pixel now completely relinquished. No one's back in bathroom. There's a rotate that can be used by the Malusi who's come back this way, but at least for now, it might have taken a bit much time to only clear out one player and a bit of util, because One Shot still have more progress they need to make. This is faster than last time they were on the site, though.
Significantly faster, but Kool-Aid, he's going to cut down Quartz, and the Nitro Cell from Melted is pre-placed, but not yet exploded. We saw the Fink of Slippery literally standing on top of it, but Melted decided not to blow. The intel game wasn't there into their side. As Storms is going to throw a nade, Kool-Aid holding a quick Pixel all the way down the long bar. As Slippery and the rest of his team, they're starting to put pressure all the way up white. The DMR Penguin almost lands a decisive blow onto Slippery, but he's going to survive just into this execute.
About 30 seconds to go. It still seems like it's the same, or the idea being west to east, same thing that we saw from last round, but this time One Shot are winning their gunfights. Parabellum don't have their positions locked in as much as they would have liked, but the freezer pressure is going to ensure there's no additional crosses. So maybe a smoke plant can be done here. Diffuser's down at top Skylight. One Shot have to rotate back upstairs to get it, which means they don't have enough time. All Parabellum has to do in this case is stay alive and they'll win another round. Both players now inside Piano trying to cleave through one player. They have to find Eska. If they don't kill Eska, they're gonna lose the round, and they lose the round. Parabellum, an expert peek up to Skylight, downs Diffuser, and puts them on map point.
The absolute magician act of Eska to just disappear out of freezer. He goes, for my next trick, I'll win a round by myself. And he just manages to find his way. And Hilo was asking, could you see me or pre-fire through the smoke? He was on the outside of the smoke. He was pro-peeking it.
That smoke wasn't good enough.
No, he was right next to the smoke. He wasn't in it. He was kind of like peeking just through the side and saw the very tip of the Habana hood and popped it straight off. And that kill so incredibly impactful. It brings Parabellum to match point, just a single round away from stealing One Shot's map choice.
Yeah. We had the almost the same setup from Parabellum, almost the same take from One Shot from Piano over as opposed to working on the cocktail windows, but that was a better take. One Shot had things mostly telegraphed, but they did the same thing in their previous take, which is having someone drop late on Skylight. Instead of simply waiting for it, you're right, Eska makes the rotation from freezer to just the doorway, pops his head before he has the chance to make that drop, which means there's no coverage. You can't really rely on the mayhem of having someone just appear from a Skylight drop in the midst of said smoke. It was done beautifully from Eska. He deserves the credit in that round more than maybe we're giving him. him. And One Shot now have 0 opportunities for failure left if they want to, at the very least, push this to overtime.
Yeah, and last time they went to this bomb site, they could not solve Spirits inside of Bakery. He went down taking 2 kills down with him, and then another refrag from Eska inside of Prep made it a 2v4. Sure, it did get a little bit too close for comfort. The aggressive peaks coming out of Parabellum still being advanced inside the bomb site allowed those first couple entries for One Shot to come through and make it a lot closer of a round than it arguably should have. But when the play from Parabellum really kind of got down to it and it was a lot more stressful, they kind of peeled back. They were playing a lot more patiently. However, with Parabellum this time, already in the advanced position, they have Spirits once again trying to get aggressive. If he doesn't find the same success this round, then this round will probably be a lot more difficult for PB to stop, especially when One Shot has found more success on a full top down that they're currently employing.
Yeah, I'd say they really need to focus on their drone game. I think it's interesting how we're seeing Finka drone herself in. Slippery just says, yeah, I'll make sure piano's cleared by myself before claiming it. And something you would normally see somebody like a Kilo doing, but instead it seems like both Quartz and Slippery, the ones who are meant to be playing more aggro operators, aren't able to do much aside from that. It's also interesting how, I don't know if we've given Swaywin enough credit today, because that man's 14-6.
Yep.
He's got the most kills of anybody individually in this lobby, including Spirits, because Spirits has been first death in a couple of these rounds straight up. They're like, in spite of what operator he's playing or position he's in, Swaywin's doing a fantastic job, but the rest of the team around him isn't really able to capitalize on his success thus far.
Yeah, Swaylin in the mid round has been phenomenal. However, he's going to have to get active all the way through and make sure that rotations are cut with those Nomad air jabs. For the side of One Shot, everything's all going swimmingly over towards the second floor. Vertical pressure, all of these angles opened up and coming out. It's looking pretty nice, especially when Kilo drones the bomb site and sees that nobody is home. Quartz already starting to aggress and kind of bringing all these toxic babe canisters from VIP into his direction, and it could feign just enough pressure for this hatch drop to come through and cause absolute pandemonium in the bomb site.
I noticed Kilo using, I think, he used 12 of those X-Kairos pellets on just that single reinforcement upstairs by mining, which means if they do anything, it's just going to be storming inside kitchen, dropping the hatch and trying to cover. Kilo inside bunker is going to have the cross. Slippery and Swaywin, 1 kill apiece over the top, does at least stop Diffuser from getting planted, but that may not be enough. Spirits back towards the site is going to get his head cut down by Slippery, so it's only melted. That play was telegraphed beautifully. One Shot decide, yeah, we don't need to have to hard breach anything. We're just going to drop the hatch and use the way that Parabellum have set up the site against them.
Yeah, the biggest thing was that Kilo droned the bomb site and was probably in absolute disbelief of not seeing a single person.
Yeah.
It's so much so that he droned it again. And he was like, wow. This is absolute freebies. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to get the plant down. Sure, a bunch of Parabellum bodies got thrown at him to stop, but when those refrags came through, all of a sudden it was a 1v4 situation, almost a perfect attack, well executed indeed for One Shot, as they are 1 round away from sending this back to overtime.
I think this is a fair play from PB right here. Not working with a Malusi, instead working with a Kaid. Maybe be a little bit closer towards site, entrench yourself, which is how they won some sites prior, by the way. They decided it wasn't worth it to go for crazy roams, and that was mostly like on Cocktail, I think, if anything, back in round number 7. But they are capable of deciding anchoring up, shoring up our defense, rather than doing anything crazy offside is more worthwhile than attempting something when all we need is 1 round to close things out. So no Malusi, no additional roam presence, instead simply working with a Kaid and going back to kitchen, because they understand how potent or attacks from One Shot can be whenever they're attacking on second floor sites. So instead, they'll go back to the formula that they understand works. This is the only time we've seen a team run back a site in this map thus far, and One Shot need this one, or Parabellum's about to win and go to Oregon to map up.
Yeah, we see the Castle of Penguin going all the way up to the 3rd floor. Don't know if he's placing a barricade or instead just opening hatches or something like that. Yeah, he's opening up hatches, throwing reinforcements, and facilitating some top floor shenanigans. interesting rotation lanes now created if any roamers are going to be up top, and it is the Jaeger of Kool-Aid who no longer is on the smoke or any anchoring operators. He's going to be the first line of defense for this top floor roam clear that One Shot have been bringing to the table and finding success with. The hatches, they go bye-bye. The drones, they're going to come in, and eventually, and hopefully for One Shot's sake, they do find that Kool-Aid is upstairs, but Slipper, he doesn't know that Penguin's inside of the bathroom, and he'll flush him away.
I was about to say, it looked like Parabellum might be playing things more conservatively with the ops they selected, but instead, a little bit of a cheeky SSG-style intel roam upstairs. Castle and Jaeger now both rotating back downstairs after finding a kill. No Finca adrenal surges to use for this execute whenever One Shot decide to go for it. That was a risk, but it worked out in the end. That's the kind of thing that you understand what's going to happen if it doesn't work out, but because there's two bodies upstairs, clearing somebody who was solo droning himself before taking site control or any map control on the top floor means it was beautifully worked out in the end by PB.
Yeah, and now, even though that gunfight came out at about 2 minutes and 20 seconds, it's another 20 to 30 seconds wasted from One Shot as they have to re-drone everything. They can't assume that anything is clear. And even though, once again, that gunfight was so long ago, its impact has been felt for so much longer. It's been kind of a rippling effect all the way through, as now the vert pressure is finally going down at 1 minute and 20. Trying to get rid of the Electro Claw, that's going to be Storms' job. Probably going to have to throw a nade that direction. Yep, they managed to take it off, and Kilo will potentially open up their pathway into the bomb site once again. However, for Parabellum's sake, I hope that they have kind of realized that, yeah, they dropped hatch and they went for a deep bunker plan. That's where they want to go for, especially as Quartz rotates over towards the garage, a back alley, holding the cut, trying to mitigate any of the impact and flanking potential of Melted in that advanced position.
There's not a single player for Parabellum on site right now. All of them are in position to retake or come back through choke points as soon as they realize this. I think One Shot may have clearance to try this same thing again, because again, not a single orange silhouette aside from one now. Kool-Aid finally does come back towards bunker, maybe assuming that this might be the play, hoping that One Shot doesn't drone this again before making this drop back into the hatch, into freezer. Only a couple of seconds left to decide if One Shot end up losing their map pick or not. Back in the back corner is the Jaeger. There's a flashbang primed to take him out if in the event he does get seen. Full white now. Kilo comes back into the site. He's going to have a chance to plant, but again, the Jaeger's position has not been nullified. Kool-Aid's going to take down Swaywin. This might just be everything falling apart, and it is one by one by one, and all that's left is one player for One Shot. They can do nothing with so little time remaining, and Parabellum claim Kafe 7-5.
Beautifully executed, amazing adjustments on the side of Parabellum to understand that, hey, they want to go for a hatch drop. We go, what are we going to do? We're going to play that retake. However, last time, what was conditioned